I have no control over anything here, even though I'm the founder of a company. Stugotz is going to burn the building down. I don't know where Amin is, probably getting a massage. And Brockmire is about a year late on a podcast, the second season of a podcast that I was expecting maybe 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know when we announced it. Brockmire, it's nice to have you back. Welcome back. Where have you been? Where's our podcast? What's going on? Why is it that you haven't been producing a podcast that people are expecting?
Look, pot calling the kettle black. Where you been? You're nowhere. You've been Costa Rica, right? That's where you were, right? Wonderful. Hope you had a great time there. You know, I have a theory about you, Dan Le Batard, which is that you only reside or vacation in humid climates so that your constant sweating will blend in more naturally. Is that true? Confirm or deny?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. By the way, I'm not saying you're not handsome, because you are. You're a very wet kind of handsome. You're like a big old cuddly otter, in that you sleep on your constantly damp back. But anyway, and Florida is very humid as well. How is Florida? You are back in Florida now, right? You're not for like 20 minutes until you go to your next humid location?
Yes.
Can I ask you something honestly about Florida? Can you see the book burnings from where you live? Or is DeSantis just saving that for later on in the primary season?
I can see them. I am warmed by them. It's part of the humidity. It makes me sweat in metaphorically.
Why you're sweating? Part of why you're sweating.
Yeah.
Damn back.
I don't want to get in trouble. I'm kidding, of course. Your governor is not a fascist. I mean, in 1930s Germany, they did also try to legislate people right out of existence and ban books and encourage vigilante violence against minority groups. But they did that while wearing brown shirts, Dan, which that would really clash with the day-glow color palette of Florida. So this is very different.
All right, let's talk sports since you're not answering my questions about where the podcast is. I want to talk baseball with you at some point, but I know
we will eventually.
I know you like other sports as well. Last night's big story, obviously, the draft lottery and Wembanyama. Yeah. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, it was truly a lottery this year, wasn't it? Because one lucky franchise randomly got $1 billion in added value thanks to Victor Wembanyama. Unbelievable. I mean, normally that kind of wealth exchange among billionaires, that only happens on one of Epstein's islands.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, it was nice to see it out in the open this time. Very refreshing.
Well, what
trafficking.
All right, but what about the fit in San Antonio? We had Shea Serrano on. He's saying how much the superstar wants to be in San Antonio. What about that fit? Brockmire certainly has thoughts there as someone who's done drugs and alcohol in San Antonio and beyond.
Yeah, as Johnny Cash once said, I have been everywhere, man. And San Antonio was by far the best option. Absolutely. Because Detroit has turned RoboCop into a documentary, okay? Houston is terrible, paved over swamp. It is the size of a small planet. Don't go there. Charlotte, that's like living in the lobby of a corporate office. It's absolutely horrible. And Portland is where big men's feet and knees go to die. So San Antonio makes sense. They've had great success with European imports. They have one of the greatest coaches to ever do it. And the city itself is, well, it's got that Riverwalk, you know. I mean, Victor's from Paris. The Riverwalk is basically like the Seine, only instead of a winding waterway through the most beautiful city in the world, he gets a glorified gutter with endless places to eat fajitas. But, I mean, who's to say that's worse, Dan? I mean, this is true, by the way. The majestic boulevards of Paris, they were purposely built very wide so that the barricades of the French Revolution would no longer be possible. It is the architectural aesthetics of the ruling class keeping their boot right on your neck. It's oppression. It's beauty in exchange for freedom. So I'll take a sizzling plate of grilled Riverwalk meat over that any day.
All right. I don't want your thoughts on San Antonio. I want your sports analysis. You're an expert. I want your baseball analysis. But what's your scouting report on Wembanyama? Because Mike Ryan's already saying he's going to get hurt. He's going to get immediately hurt.
Scouting report on Wembanyama? Let me check my notes here. Yeah, he's tall as shit, Dan Le Batard. That's my scouting report. No, the man is 7'5" without shoes. He can dunk. He doesn't have to jump to dunk. Dunk flat-footed. He can block a three-point shot one step out of the paint. And he's Ralph Sampson with a handle, okay? He's a combination of, you talk about San Antonio, combo of Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. He's a human cheat code.
It's true.
If you tried to create him on NBA 2K, which I did try, the computer rejects it. And he's got the body of one of those inflatable dancing men at the car lot. But when you're that tall, it does. Who cares?
That's right.
And yet he's physically unable to chunk out like Zion Williamson. Guy could eat 5 plates of Riverwalk fajitas a day and still maintain his figure, which, by the way, is the same exact figure as Jack Skellington from A Nightmare Before Christmas.
All right.
So
before we get to baseball, and I do want to get to baseball, and I want to understand where the hell your podcast is, because I'm worried that
it's happening right now.
It's not happening right now. No, it's not.
This is it.
No, it's not.
Isn't this it?
No.
Well, I'm not doing any more than this. Yes, it is.
No, this is not it. And I think you've fallen off the wagon. I've seen suspicious behavior. What's in that cup?
There's coffee plus other stuff.
You have fallen off the wagon. You're supposed to be sober. We'll get to baseball.
Well, what are you? Who are you, my parole officer? Give me a break here.
I mean,
I'm trying to entertain your dwindling audience.
I'm your employer, technically.
Oh, so fire me. What do you want from me?
Ja Morant, certainly you must have thoughts there. I want to get to baseball. Are we going to have time to get to baseball? Ja Morant.
I hope so. Well, Ja Morant, man, oh man. I mean, my heart goes out. First of all, I want to hope and pray that this all still remains funny going forward. I mean, so far, nobody's gotten hurt by this young man flashing his piece around on Instagram. I mean, no one's gotten in serious legal trouble. He's only metaphorically shooting himself in the foot. I mean, look, the first time it wasn't funny. It hinted at very serious things, but pulling out a gun the second time, Dan, doing the exact same stupid thing again, that's legitimately funny. That's cartoon funny. It's like reverse Michigan J. Frog, where Ja can only dance with a gun when everybody's watching. He's got to continue this trend one more time. Comedy rule of 3, right? He got to finish it off right, though. Next time he pulls out a piece while dancing the NBA Youngboy, he's got to fire it, and out will come one of those flags that spell the word bang. Have fun with it. Wile E. Coyote style. That's what I always.
Well, do you have any idea where any of this
By the way, that is a motto. I say that a lot. Have fun with it. Wile E. Coyote style. Okay. I say that in all manner of situations.
Okay. It's a very old reference, but where do you imagine, sociologically, do you have any larger thoughts on where this might be coming from?
Well, I do, Dan. I mean, and I don't have standing to speak on a lot of this because I am not rich, young, or black. I'm literally the opposite. I am poor, old, and white, which is the saddest kind of white. Let's be honest about it. I'm dressed like I'm decomposing from too much exposure to the sun. People say black don't crack, but maybe that's only in comparison to old white folks like me who melt like a chunky wax candle. But I lost my train of thought. Any hoodles. Oh, Ja's situation. I was crying about my whiteness. Johnson, where is all that coming from? Family, friends? I can't say. I do know one thing, though, okay? It would appear that alcohol is most likely involved here, and boy, can I speak to that. Because inebriation, that's my area of expertise. I got a PhD in getting up with a master's in attempting to get fucked up, which is why I can say with authority, I can go all Marv on you, that Ja Morant is associating with the wrong alcohol, folks. Ja's been seen on IG Live chugging tequila. That's the worst alcohol to make your best friend, the worst.
Oh, you like whiskey. You've always been a whiskey guy.
Absolutely. Whiskey's that loyal basset hound that just wants to lay on your belly. Whiskey's always giving you a big hug or wrapping a warm blanket around you, encouraging you to just lay down. Even the crying and the yelling jags that often do come along for the ride with whiskey, they're usually pointed in a direction that leads you right towards bed, Betty bye, I mean, vodka, okay in a pinch, but much too clinical, all sharp edges when being drunk is supposed to round all the corners. Vodka's for doctors getting drunk in hospital parking lots, okay? Real Patrick Bateman psychopath types. Google that. That's American Psycho. Anyway, rum. Let's talk about rum. Vacations and emergencies, okay? The only people who really love rum are children and adults who act like children. I mean, after all, think about it. A Wiggles concert and a Jimmy Buffett concert, basically the same thing. These are sing-alongs by people wearing very ugly shirts and just struggling to stay upright, okay? But tequila, that's the most dangerous by a lot, by far. It's like eating blowfish, all right? It should only be done very rarely under the care of seasoned professionals. No one should ever, ever be chugging it out of a bottle at a club like a TikTok mom trying to hydrate herself, all right? Tequila is the worst best friend you can ask for. It's the one that's telling you to call her at 4 a.m. It's the one whose favorite movie is Boondock Saints, okay? It's the one who's way too into crypto, that friend. It's a friend that makes you put extra weight on the rack but forgets to spot you, just walks away.
So really, everyone's talking about Ja Morant, and your advice to Ja Morant is switch to whiskey?
Dan, that is the best. He's going to get a lot of advice. You think he's going to get a lot of advice coming up? That's the best advice you can get. Just lay off the tequila and pull it back a little bit.
There's whiskey in that cup, isn't there? There is
whiskey. Of course there's whiskey in this cup.
You're supposed to be sober. You're the 4th season of Brockmire. You were sober. It was an uplifting tale. And your advice is Ja switch to whiskey?
Yeah, yes. It's working for me, isn't it? Look at me. I'm living the life over here. Come to the dark side, Bourbon. Doesn't have to be rye, single malt. You pick. Try cognac. Cognac's. They make those special glasses with the cognac. You feel like a 16th century European nobleman or some such. None of those brown beauties that aforementioned are going to make you hop on IG Live, for crying out loud. They make you want to watch a documentary about the Battle of Leningrad and silently brood about all those who have wronged you in your life till you fall asleep gently in your favorite chair, okay? That's clean living, Ja. Switch to whiskey, my friend.
All right. We come back with Brockmire. We'll talk baseball coming up with a drunk Brockmire next. I encourage all of you who are looking for great things to stream. Brockmire is on Hulu. I was trying a long time ago to partner up Brockmire, Disney, and see if all of this could exist at ESPN, but Brockmire was too hot. He was too dangerous. He gets into too many areas that are problematic. He can't be trusted in any reasonable way to deliver a podcast, to broadcast a baseball game. But Brockmire, the show, not only does it start exceptionally, the first few minutes of both season 1 and season 2 are magical. I would urge all of you to watch Brockmire on Hulu. It's his best work. It was Brockmire in his prime, not this rendition that we get now, a broken old alcoholic artifact that joins us because he can't find work anywhere else because the Mexican League doesn't want him. No baseball entity. At this point, no baseball entity will support him, but he is a baseball expert. A drunk one, but a baseball expert. And baseball, the Mets, Stugotz, are getting Verlander. He's being booed. The Mets are a total disaster. I know Brockmire has thoughts on baseball, and even though our audience might not want baseball, Brockmire, can we start a new baseball bit that we do that doesn't, make a lot of basketball analysis and all the other things that you want to talk about to show that you're well-rounded and get back into the game? Is there a baseball segment we can do with you?
Yeah, if you're done insulting me and berating me and showing off your ridiculous business instincts by trying to put me together with Disney. What kind of me and Disney together? I can't believe that didn't work out. What a great move by you. Also had a little bit of difficulty hearing you through all the sweat emanating from your butt. It's like underwater almost.
Okay.
Like,
okay. Right. Can we get to Brockmire's baseball bit of the week, please?
Sure. Yeah, if you're done with your ranty, cranky tirade, absolutely. My goodness, what a terrible throw they don't do that, on the aforementioned ESPN. And now a guy who's annoying and whiny. Take it, Greenie. Come on. They should do that.
They do with Buster Olney.
Yeah, I guess they do. Yeah.
What is the baseball bit of the week? I can't get you to do a podcast.
All right, here we go.
I can't get you to talk baseball. I can't get you to do anything I want.
Okay, I'm going to do it. My God, it's like we should just go ahead and get the formalities over and get married because this is getting ridiculous. This is actually worse than my first marriage. But anyway, So I just want to say what was once America's pastime has now been reduced to this banter between this ass end segment of an afternoon radio show distributed over the internet by a cranky, sweaty man and a drunk dude. Brockmire's baseball bit of the week celebrates, if that's the right word, the most exciting thing that's happened in the majors this week. And this week, it is by far Aaron Judge's eyes darting like a cartoon cat, eyeing one of them juicy hams with the bone sticking out. And what is he looking at, folks? He's looking at his teammates who have discovered that the Blue Jay pitcher is tipping the pitch that's coming next. And then a belamo. He hits a hanging breaking ball like he knew it was coming because he did. But see, wait, that's not cheating. Okay, that's not the goddamn Astros performing Stomp the Musical and banging trash cans in the dugout. It is not some conspiracy with 8mm footage of the grassy knoll. This is part of the game, folks. It's a poker player showing his cards, showing his bluff, and I encourage any legal practice that results in a 460-foot dinger. That, to me, is what this game should be working towards.
He's not
Kudos.
wrong. He's not wrong about that. Billy, I know you've got some Aaron Judge thoughts, Aaron Judge cheating thoughts that we haven't been able to get to today.
I mean, that guy. Let me start on him.
Whoa. Like, that's it? I get one measly baseball crumb? That's it? That's it?
Yeah, I went to Billy.
No.
Yeah,
I got another one for you. I'm not going to wait around for whatever nonsense I'm about to hear. I got one more for you.
But Billy is our baseball expert, and he had opinions on this, on Aaron Judge. He had opinions. You don't want other people included in your baseball segment?
When I'm done talking.
Okay.
Look, I got about, I don't know, I'd say 7 minutes left until I'm not too coherent. Okay?
All right. Very good. If you have more baseball thoughts, give them to us. I thought that was the end of your
Shohei
baseball
Ohtani. Okay? And this won't wait. The man is reinventing the game as the best pitcher and the best hitter in the sport. And he gets about as much notice for that as a fart in a jar that's been thrown into the ocean. I mean, I guess because he plays for the Angels, his entire career is like Schrodinger's cat trapped in an eventual impenetrable black box, unable to be observed by anybody. But I am telling you, folks, it is happening. Ohtani is happening. The guy nearly hit for the cycle in a game where he pitched 7 innings. That is crazy.
It is.
That is Paul Bunyan, John Henry, mythical shit. And I wish more people outside Japan were watching it unfold on a daily basis. I had to get that out.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Billy.
I wanted Billy's thoughts on Aaron Judge. I will get them in a moment. I will let you go on that note, Brockmire. We thank you for your return. I'm very frustrated that your podcast, your second season of your podcast, is not out yet, but I do thank you for stopping by. It is good to see you again. We will do it again next week, maybe. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll be back, please. And one last thing, Dan. Maybe keep like a pocket square, like right here, and just dab at the forehead area. I mean, the pits, we know they're a lost cause. Those are stains you're going to carry with you as long as you live. You lost that battle at puberty.
Yeah.
But maybe, we could keep the moisture off your face just a little bit. A little more attention to detail.
Brockmire, how do I get you here every week? What do I need to do to get the Brockmire podcast? People miss it. It was very popular. It was doing very well. You were getting us very good metrics, and then you disappeared into an ocean of alcohol.
That's my thing. That's my shtick. That's what I do. I come in and out of that ocean of alcohol. But I you know what, we can, now that you're back from your sweaty vacation and you've cleared out your end of things, I'm here. Let's do this every week. I can at least tell you my baseball thoughts every week. I'm sure we can bring some guests in like we used to. I'll be here every week.
I would love to do this with you every week, but I also want the podcast. Where's the podcast? You've traded the podcast for a weekly segment that isn't the podcast, that is Ben Stiller and all these famous people that you were doing the podcast with, and now it's just you?
Well, no, we'll do whatever you want, man. We'll bring them on your show. We'll call it who cares what we call it? Does anybody really care? What is this? It's an internet conversation. Oh, it's a podcast. Oh, no, it's an appearance. Oh, no, I'm doing a segment. No one cares.
All right.
I'll just be here and I'll say whatever and do whatever you want with it. Just pay me.
All right. See you later. Thank you. I'll pay you so you can buy
God, you
more
really
whiskey.
annoyed me today. I don't know
Okay,
what you're
all right.
whining about. You're all wet and whiny and
All right.
awful.
Good to see you. Thank you. Nice seeing you again. Welcome back to the company. Stay off the sauce. And now I can finally get to Billy's opinion. Billy, Aaron Judge was clearly looking into the dugout and pretending or trying to pretend like he wasn't looking into his
there
dugout.
was chirping going on in his dugout, Dan. He told us that he definitely wasn't cheating, even though he hit like a 480,000-foot home run right after that.
He's arguing that he did look into the dugout while everyone's saying, no, you're looking to your first base coach because he had the signs. Which, can we just, if you're not using electronics, you're allowed to try to steal signs. Like, I know this whole Astros thing made it like murky waters here. If the catcher is showing the signs and the first base coach can see it, that's legal.
If they're tipping, you can use it.
That's what I mean. Like, as long as they're not using electronics, that's what the Astros did.
Billy, what are you laughing about back there with Tony?
No, I was laughing that Brockmire was struggling to get off.
He just stares
Brockmire
straight
never
into the
struggles
Zoom.
to get
It's
off.
great.
If you watch the show, it's actually constantly getting in his way.
Mike Ryan, what would you describe in the pandemic and all of the herky-jerky that our show has had to do over the last 3 years, where we are having old media people on trying to figure out the technology of Zoom? What would you call the saddest moment that you have had, or most disappointing moment that you've had with an old person not being able to figure out his or her computer?
Bob Costas not having Wi-Fi.
What?
Yeah, Bob Costas
not
not
real.
having Wi-Fi. It was real.
Seems impossible.
It was real 3 years ago.
Today was pretty bad because Stugotz was trying to walk Brockmire through how to use Zoom correctly, and that is always a struggle getting Stu to use Zoom correctly. Like, no, minimize that.
I was right.
I got to tell you, Zoom, you know how they say how the iPhone, basically have it, especially if you're older, because it's super easy to learn, and they have these more complex phones. Like, Grandpa, have the iPhone. I know it's a touch screen, but you'll figure it out. It's really easy. That's what Zoom is. Doing this show in the early days, pre-Zoom, when no one knew about it, and it was Skype, that was hell on wheels. That was awful.
Well, you speak of
Because I don't even understand Skype.
You speak of hell on wheels, and it is unfortunate that we run such a lackluster, no-rules operation that Amin is not here to talk about this. I don't know where Amin is. He was suspended for a couple of segments and just never returned. But his expertise would be useful on the Warriors revealing to us for the first time yesterday, hey, you know our season? The whole thing got screwed up by Draymond punching Jordan Poole in the face. And Steve Kerr then saying, somehow, in the same conversation where information is being shared, and you know why the Lakers couldn't beat Golden State? Because Draymond punched Jordan Poole a long time ago. Jordan Poole, when asked about his relationship with Draymond, says it's a business relationship. It's a basketball relationship. I don't even know how to answer the question. And Steve Kerr also says we're not a championship contender unless we re-sign Draymond, the guy who punched Jordan Poole in the face, ran off Kevin Durant no matter how much they try to change the narrative on that, and also kind of ruined Jordan Poole. It was a lot to consume in a press conference. Thank you for returning, Amin. I don't know where you've been.
I was seeing Genesis.
Again.
Oh, man. Look, one time's not enough. You got to get the full kind of double treatment, because that's the only way to get all these knots and all this stress out of me that comes from working in this hellhole. What are you talking about?
A hellhole that has a physical massage therapist.
That's the only way that it's tolerable.
It's
Honestly.
Genesis.
You just took an hour off.
She should be the highest paid employee here, by the way. Just gonna throw that out there. Since Bob's gone, she should be on the Forbes cover.
I squealed multiple times.
That's how you know it's working.
The
That's-
Warriors.
That's me when I'm listening to Boston Sports Hub after the Heat take game 1.
So the Draymond thing?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for all your thoughts on that. We appreciate your expertise on the matter. I just received a text from Brockmire saying he can't do next week. What are you laughing at? I have
He's fitting in perfectly.
no
right here.
control over anything over here. Amin, thank you for going total inside joke in the last segment and not giving anybody any analysis on the Golden State Warriors that they might crave from you as a leader in the industry who has uncommon knowledge and information and credibility when it comes to how a champion can be broken up from the inside, because Steve Kerr was kind of flippant about that yesterday. Can't win without Draymond. It seems obvious to everyone that Draymond wants to go wherever LeBron is. I couldn't believe when I read earlier this season. True story. Draymond Green wanted to go and miss time to go watch LeBron break the scoring record. And Steve Kerr had to step in and say, Draymond, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that. And on the other end, fired Doc Rivers, had to let James Harden go to Vegas, correct? That was a true story. I was not butt cracked. It was a true story that James Harden asked to go to Vegas, and Doc Rivers said, you're a grown man, go to Vegas. And Doc Rivers is now fired, and Steve Kerr is saying, I need Draymond Green to be a champion. I can't be a champion without Draymond Green, but I also have to tell Draymond Green, Draymond, you can't go and be with LeBron and watch the scoring record when you started the season by punching a player in the face and basically ruined our whole season.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. Number one is Steve Kerr's absolutely right. Without Draymond Green, this is not a championship team, just flatly. Having said that, when the punch happened, both Draymond and everyone with the Warriors, including Steve Kerr, assured us this wasn't going to be an issue. And midseason, when people asked about it, they said it's not an issue. And then when their season ended prematurely, they're both coming out and saying, oh, it was totally an issue. I think they're copping. Like, I don't think that's a cop-out right there. Like, you were up big in game one against the Lakers. You blew it.
If they won against the Lakers, it'd be that united us?
Right, exactly. They're doing
It
this.
was in Game 7 against Sacramento.
They're doing the Stugotz. They're playing the result. And because we lost, well, it's because of this thing. We were fractured all year long. Well, no. You could say, hey, we never got our rhythm because we had so many injuries and guys were in and out of the lineup. You could say any of those things. You can't say to us the thing that you told us wasn't an issue actually was an issue. Or you can tell us years later. If this is 5 years down the line and they say, you know what, it really did, and we were just holding on to it.
I love that there are rules on this, and you're right, by the way. You can't say it right after the season.
Stugotz,
Yeah,
he's
right.
telling you, I can't win without this guy who's going to be a free agent. The other guy's under contract for 5 more years. So what are you telling us? They're all going to come back next year in training camp? And like, hey, guys, remember when we talked about all that stuff? Yeah, don't worry about it. No, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
What about Jordan Poole's quote? Jordan Poole is an overpaid player. That is a bad contract right now.
I mean, it still isn't a contract yet, right? It's an extension that kicks in next year. But, yes, go ahead.
He is being paid a lot of money, and a lot of people were pointing out correctly he was not useful during the playoffs. And if he's going to usher in the next era of Golden State basketball, he's got to be the young replacement for what Steph and Clay are. He's got to do some of the things Clay's not going to be able to do anymore if they lose Clay to free agency.
Right.
Because he looks old. And Jordan Poole's quote when asked about his relationship with Draymond Green is, I don't know how to answer that. It's a business relationship.
Yeah.
It's a basketball relationship.
That's by the way, that's a large chunk of NBA relationships. You guys think these guys are best friends and stuff? No. They just work together. There are people here I work with that I can't stand to be around. You don't see me complaining about it at every angle and every turn. I just show up to work with a smile on my face, and I do my job, right? Now, Jordan Poole, here's the deal.
You got a massage today.
You just yawned during the middle of your own point.
Pulled a Stan Van Gundy.
It sounded like you were bored by yourself.
Yeah, sure.
That was Aaron Carey.
The thing about Jordan Poole is this, right? If a year ago you were saying Jordan Poole's awesome. Now, I'm one of the people I felt like he's overrated. This is before he signed the deal. I think he's a good bench player. I think he's streaky like most bench players are, most six men are. But that's a good role for him. I did not see the huge ceiling for him.
Can you pay $30 million
Hold
a
on.
year to a good bench player?
No, but that's my assessment. A lot of the people who are saying, "Oh my God, what a bad contract," are the same people who were praising him a year ago at this time, right? So if you are someone who believes or believed at that time that this is the type of player he is or he can be, then this contract isn't bad because he had an off year after he got punched in the face. Like, he had an off year. But the reality is that contract is reflective of where they think he's going to be going as a player, not who he is right now, right? So if you are someone who believed in that potential, it's not a bad contract. I'm not someone who believed in the potential. That's why I was like, oh, you wild and you give him that kind of money. But that was way before he got punched in the face. I felt that way. And so there are a lot of people, again, playing the results. This game isn't based on paying people what they're doing right now, for the most part, especially those rookie scale extensions. They're about what you're going to be doing in the next 5 years. And that's a long time for a player who's pretty young for Jordan Poole to turn it around. If he has a great year next year, what are we going to turn around and say, oh, actually, it's a great deal? Or it's like Knicks fans with R.J. Barrett, right? Oh, my God, I can't believe we gave R.J. that money. And then he has a good playoffs. Like, oh, my God, he's the best draft player out of 2019 because Zion's hurt all the time and Ja Morant's waving guns. You can't play the game reacting at every moment. At some point, you have to say, this is my overall view, and I need a preponderance of evidence to change my mind about that.
You've mentioned Ja Morant. I want to get to Stugotz's recent obsession with infomercials in a second. But you mentioned Ja Morant, and I see that J.J. Redick is all over ESPN today saying, because Mad Dog is saying, 40-game suspension for Ja Morant, 40 games. And J.J. Redick is arguing on the other side, why are we trying to hammer this person who is not guilty of a crime? Why are we doing this? As the commissioner of the league says last night, he was shocked that Ja Morant is now at the center of this, and there will be optics that pressure him to overpunish here.
Yep.
I mean, everything happening in this country, the safest play for Adam Silver is to really hit Ja Morant while Mike Schur comes on the show with us and says, hey, should we be talking about this stuff this much? The mental health stuff seems to be something that we need to be careful about with young people and what is happening around here with Ja Morant. He doesn't seem like, maybe this is self-destructive, maybe it's immature, maybe it's not well, but nobody's helping by turning up the volume on, hey, idiot, what are you doing with a gun?
Right. So there's a couple of things here. The first thing is Ja Morant's basically recanting what he said a few weeks ago, right? There was something he had a very specific conversation about with the commissioner. He came out and sat down with Jalen Rose, said something very specific, and a few weeks later, he's contradicting himself. And I said, wow, this feels very familiar, and I realized why it feels familiar. It's like me talking to my kids. I tell them, hey, I'm going to make this very clear. I don't want to see this ever happen again. Got it, Dad. And a couple weeks later, they're doing it. And then I realized Ja Morant's a lot closer in age to my kids than he is to me. And so to put it in perspective, Soulja Boy is an old school artist for Ja Morant. That's how young he is. He's so young that Superman that came out when he was 7 years old. So I'm not excusing what he did or whatever. I'm just trying to put everybody in that mindset as like, it's not just he's 23. You say, oh, 23 is old enough. It's like, no, you don't get it. He's really young, dude. He's more closer to a high schooler's mentality than he is even some of his own teammates. The irritating part for the commissioner has to be that, like, yo, I had a conversation with you about this and now you recant it. But this is the part where me, being an old man and having old man proclivities, differs from what Mike Schur, who is also an old man but has a more enlightened approach to things.
Or gentle, because you want professionals to be professional, and you generally don't infantilize these guys.
I don't, but there are times where I know that if David Stern were still commissioner, he was still alive and he was still commissioner, the conversation, forget about what the suspension would have been, the 8 games or whatever, forget about the conversation he would have had with Ja would have been very different. Adam Silver has a way about him of understanding. It's a very modern way. It's a very accepting and of emotions and feelings.
Progressive.
Progressive.
Not a dictator like Stern.
Stern would have told him to get his MFing ass off of IG and I don't want to see effing this, F that, you MFer, this ain't, we're going to have it. You'll be playing ball in Pelican Bay, 23-hour lockdown, shoe program, etc. He would have read him the riot act.
That is how Stern talked to Skipper.
That's how he talked to everybody, Dan. That's how he talked to everybody. We say the commissioner, we always say about Roger Goodell. He works for Jerry Jones. He works for the owners. Yes, technically that is accurate. David Stern did not work for anybody. They were his subordinates, even though the paper, the charter said the opposite. And so Silver, in his progressiveness and his good guy, good cop way, I don't think the message was sent with enough fire and brimstone. And that's where you end up. And that's why sometimes you need the bad guy, the black hat.
What do you make of these jobs? Like, you never have jobs like these that are open in the NBA, where it's a 58-win team, a 55-win team.
No. It's Durant, it's Giannis.
Well,
it's
and those players as well.
It's
Durant
Embiid.
and Paul.
It's
right.
all the best players are available to a coach.
Yep. And this is incredible because we might see like a little bit of a roulette wheel going where everyone goes in a different spot.
Someone hires Monty.
Yeah,
right,
someone hires Bud, someone hires Nick Nurse, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to say real quick, first of all, Basketball Illuminati is the podcast. We talked about this and all the different iterations there. But, like, when it comes to Philadelphia, you mentioned Doc allowing James Harden to go to Vegas. I mean, there are parts of this where you got to have some leeway in there. But at the same time, if I'm Doc, I can't believe you guys are blaming me for this. What? It's my fault. You know whose fault it is? It's Blake's fault.
Really?
Yes.
It's never Blake's fault.
It's
What do you
Blake's
mean?
fault.
Shocking
He
situation.
was over there giving them all the secrets. He was the mole. He was the inside guy. This is all Blake's fault. I don't care what anyone says. It's not Joel's fault. It's not James's fault. It's Blake's fault. I can't do this for 10 more seconds. I'm going to pass out.
What about 5?